It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. You are live with Expresso. Thank you so much for keeping it locked. It has been an inspirational day today, and I'm hoping especially that all of our female viewers have found it empowering. We've connected with some amazing people today, and we want to continue on that trend right now. Now, one thing that is always certain is that the times are always changing, and some of the lessons we still teach our children about life do not always reflect those changes. I'm finding this out as a parent every day, having much uncertainty when it comes to parenting. It's difficult. It's very challenging now more than ever before, in a time where so much information is so easily accessible, having an influence in shaping our children and who they become and who they grow into. It's going to become vital that we inform that conversation. So today we are asking, how do we raise strong, confident girls and respectful boys in these modern times? And I have a girl and a boy, so I'm really interested in this conversation this morning. We are joined by, in studio, finally, to have her back in studio, yay, Relationship Architect Shelley Lewin, to help us discuss this topic. And we'd love to hear your questions, your comments, your advice as well. Please give us a call, 021 110 5552, and we'll engage directly with you, Shelley. Welcome back. Even though we've got to keep our distance, it's so good to see you in person.
Thank you. It's really awesome to be here.
We live in a time of, social media and so much information in the internet. And I'm pretty sure it can be very difficult for parents to navigate parenthood with so much they bombarded with on the socials. How is parenting now different from back like 40, 50 years ago?
Is it more difficult now?
Well, look, I wasn't parenting 40, 50 years ago, but I have had some conversations around it, and I think that, there's pros and cons, of course. So some of the benefits are that as a parent, if you're struggling with any specific difficulty or issue, you now have easily accessible global information. So you can ask parents from other sides of the world and find parenting forums where you can have conversations asking anything. But the other side to it is that it can really create a lot of self-doubt in, am I being the perfect parent? And social media, there's this perfectionistic image.
It's not real.
Yes.
It can't be real.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you have this, am I meeting the standards? And then, the other side is that children are exposed to things and concepts and topics a lot earlier than what they would have been previously. And we can also quite easily plonk our children in front of the TV and it becomes the babysitter, instead of where I think, of course, 40, 50 years ago, you didn't have that. So you had to be much more interactive and involved and engaged in your children's lives and doing things with them and playing soccer or going outside. And I think that might be one of the biggest differences is the engagement levels and knowing in some ways what's going on with your children. Cyberbullying, that didn't exist. So, and unless you have a really open conversation or the environment, a culture in your family where you're having ongoing conversations, you wouldn't know what's going on in your children's lives with all their whole double life that happens online.
And
now.
forget it, we're not just talking about Fortnite. and I mean, these things are massive influences in our children's lives. I'm going to speak from the perspective of being a new dad to a daughter. I grew up in an all-female, was privileged enough to grow up in an all-female household, which is something I'm now realizing was an actual blessing. But I'm terrified of having those conversations with my daughter. The subject of gender-based violence. At what point do we start having those very difficult discussions with our children? When will I be ready to talk to my daughter? When will she be ready to be able to grapple with those really difficult, especially when it comes to gender-based violence? Because that's got to be surely the biggest conversation we're having in this country right now.
Yeah, look, it's an incredibly emotive topic, and I think that any difficult conversation, and so I don't want to just label it gender-based violence, it's almost like any challenging topic, whether you're talking sexuality, also not easy conversations to have, or race or gender identity, all of those, there needs to be ongoing conversations happening in your home. So if you can have a culture in your home where we talk to each other, where you know you can come and talk to me about anything, anytime, about anything, and I'm open and approachable, and I'm not authoritarian about it, like this is how it is and this is what you need to think and this is how you need to feel, that you can be exploratory about it. That, so what have you heard? What do you think about it? Well, this is my opinion. And you mentor and guide, and you can you ask for their opinion and what have they heard. And so you asked about when, and I think it's a tricky one because some kids are more mature than others. So I wouldn't want to introduce a conversation unless you felt like they had seen or heard something and they were raising it, like wouldn't impose it. You know, if they're at the age where they have the awareness of it, then you can talk about it. The other key thing I think is that we don't teach by what we say, we teach by what we do.
Yeah.
So you need to be the example or exemplar in your home for how men treat women. You don't talk about it and then do something completely different.
Sure.
You know, and you want to be teaching your female children, all children, like let's not even separate it with gender, is that to have empathy for other human beings. You know, you want to be raising your children to be empathic, and you have to be an exemplar for that. So you have to demonstrate empathy. If you're not empathic, how are you going to teach them in a conversation to be that? So you're talking about how are you feeling, being able to say sorry. You want to build that emotional intelligence, you know, that they hear these kinds of conversations or words, and I'm sorry, and I shouldn't have said that, and it was inappropriate, and they see you relating to mom, the way that you're engaging with her in a respectful way, that what they see is how you want them to behave and to be treating each other.
And, you know, we've just, I suppose, had it all in bucket loads over lockdown, where we've been forced into this, like, tiny, close, nuclear, you know, family. And it's been a great opportunity to test those relationships, but also grow ourselves. We're going to continue this discussion, a lot of food for thought today, as we look at raising empowered children, respectful young men, and confident and powerful young women in these modern times. And we'd love to hear your questions or any comments that you have. And Shelley's going to stick around to answer any questions as well. So give us a call, 021 110 5552. We'd love to engage with you.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
A very good morning to you all. Welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show, Expresso, right here on SABC3. It's a Monday, a very special Monday at that. We're talking all things relationships. And today, the relationship architect, Shelley Lewin, is joining us in studio to help us discuss what considerations parents need to make when it comes to modern parenting and how to use this to raise confident girls and respectful boys. It's so good to still have you around because this is a very important conversation to have.
Absolutely.
I mean, we've chatted a lot off camera because there are just so many, it starts so many different conversations. But I think ultimately, as a parent of a girl, I want her to be confident, I want her to be strong, and I want her to be able to protect herself in relationships, emotionally, physically, in all facets. How do we go about creating and fostering a confident young woman? How do we approach that as a parent?
You know, one of the biggest paradigms we need to get rid of is children should be seen and not heard. Okay, so it took me till my 30s to find my voice. You need girls especially to know that they matter. You need to model self-acceptance to them. You want to they need to be upskilled and educated so that they feel that they're autonomous and independent, and that it's not about marrying someone, you know, that it's not about your looks, that it's about being autonomous and independent, and you really want them to be have a voice, and that their voice, I matter, my voice matters, my opinion matters. And as long as they feel that strong sense of self-acceptance, then they're not going to need or want approval, external validation, seeking external validation, whether it be from a man or social media or friends or peers.
Now we want that for everyone across the globe, especially with, you know, striking a balance between how to raise a girl and how to raise a boy. There shouldn't be any differences rather in doing so, obviously, unless it comes with like the very, you know, particular parts or aspects of life that are only, you know, focused on women or boys, but then in upbringing children in general for economic equality, for example, inclusion of women in the activities of the world. How do we do that? How do we raise children equally?
Well, I think that you really don't want to get into that stereotypical, you know, girls are in the kitchen and boys are. So you want your boys at home also to be cooking the food and helping and to clean, and not get caught up in the stereotypes or stereotypical role behaviors. And that socialization of expectations of that we expect girls to do this, and you know, that the boys in the house do this and the girls in the house do that. No, everyone does everything, you know, and that it isn't reserved for any specific gender. And I think that the key thing for me is around teamwork. Yes, we are different. Girls and boys are different, and there are benefits and pros and cons to, you know, or rather there's opportunities for both that are different. It's not better or worse, and you really want to create this, that there's value in girls and value in boys, and we need to discover what those are and work as a team together. I think if you can create this, that actually there's huge benefits from the genders working together, that you create strong teams. Everything in life is around teamwork and collaboration, being cooperative, figuring out what are the strengths that someone has, regardless of gender or race, or this whole diversity is extraordinary. And that's what we want, is to be celebrating diversity and not to be discriminating diversity.
I'm still going to teach her Kung Fu as soon as I
Absolutely, and why not?
I love that. Thank you so much. You're making me feel a little bit better about it being a new parent to a gorgeous young girl, but hopefully you have taken some gems out of that as well, a conversation that really does need to be ongoing, not here, but in your home. So have these conversations with your partner and have them with your child. That child needs an opportunity to be able to speak their mind. Let them have a voice.